I'm CVB. This is Kenny G. We're going to take a look now at the Big 12 Week 14 recap. The Big 12 title game is set, Kenny, and all the action kicked off on Friday.
So with all the
dude? Colorado won 52-0.
With all the chaos that went on throughout the entire Big 12, week in and week out, this week there was zero chaos. Like all the favorites won. All the favorites won. And it's bizarre because every single league outside of the Big 12 was chaos. So it was just like, it was like it flipped on us or whatever. Yeah, Colorado, Oklahoma State. My goodness. Look at that score. Oklahoma State puts the O in Pokes, not only in this game, but in the conference wins. What in the world is going on with Oklahoma State's program? They phoned it in. My God, this school, this program was horrible this year. Horrible this year. I don't want any excuses. Dude, there is none. They returned 21 starters from last season, and they were in the conference championship game last season. I don't understand this, Steve. It doesn't make any sense. I'm confused. Like,
okay,
I don't get it.
I'm gonna tell you what happened here, Kenny. Last year, Oklahoma State had by far the easiest path to Arlington. This year, they did not. Like, they got really lucky that all of their tough teams they played, they got to play all of them at home. They did not have that luxury this year, man. They did not. And then toward the end of the season, I really felt like after the BYU game, honestly, they shut it down. Like, they did not care at all anymore. But Colorado is a really good team. They only got better throughout the year. If K-State played them now, K-State would get beat badly. They would. Sugar Sanders is probably the best quarterback in the country. They have Travis Hunter, who's going to win the Heisman, which, by the way, my brother-in-law saw him this past weekend in Texas. He unboxed some sports cards. He actually has a signed Travis Hunter card. So I told him to hold off on selling it until after Travis Hunter wins a Heisman. But anyways, LaJohntay Webster, 11 catches, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, they never let the foot off the gas. 21 points in the first half, 31 in the second half. They like Brooklyn Boy said, man, they put that belt to that butt. They wanted this win really badly to try to get to Arlington. Unfortunately, they did not get the things that needed to happen. Kenny, I want to ask you really quickly, is Colorado one of the top 2 teams in the Big 12? Should they be in Arlington right now?
Yeah, honestly, I think there's a lot of teams that you could put in that conversation. I think Colorado should be in there. I think BYU should be in there. I think Baylor should be in there because they are playing outstanding football right now. And they're like, other than Colorado, they are the scariest team I think I have ever seen right now. I think Baylor is playing better than anybody in the Big 12. And that's like, I'm not being hyperbolic. I think Baylor is the real deal. Like, they absolutely clapped the Giant Slayers in KU. And KU had a lot to play for. And Baylor came in and just folded them over. It was insane. Yeah, Baylor's no joke. I'm terrified of that team next year.
I mean, if you go back, take a look at Colorado's win against Baylor. That's probably, if Baylor wins that game, we can't go back and look at it. I don't know what the tiebreakers would have been. I feel like Baylor would have gotten into Arlington had they won at Colorado this year, dude.
They wouldn't have lost the next few games. I know that for sure. They were emotionally burnt out after that game, and I feel bad for that team because good God, dude, they are dangerous. And Arizona State or whoever would have been in the game with them dodged a massive bullet. It would have been a blowout Big 12 championship game.
I think Colorado could have been there. I'm not saying they deserve to be there. I definitely think Arizona State deserves to be there. I do. I think it would have been really nice to get a rematch, Arizona State versus BYU. I do think both of those teams are probably the two best teams in this conference, with Colorado right there at third. But had they made the Big 12 title game, I feel like had they just made it the title game, they probably would have got to the CFP, because everyone wants that TV exposure. Everyone wants Deion Sanders in there, regardless of whether they won or lost. They probably would have been in the CFP, which, by the way, that's a whole other thing. The Big 12 is getting way disrespected right now. Only getting one team in right now is stupid. I mean, the worst team in our conference, Oklahoma State, beat Arkansas, and Arkansas beat Tennessee when Tennessee's projected to be in. So that's crazy to me. It really is.
Yeah, transitive property. It's dumb. I don't like. You know what? If the CFP is just going to be the SEC Big Ten Invitational, I don't want any part of it, because what it's doing, it's ripping the fan bases apart from all the other conferences. They're like, there's already a lot of, heated rivalries between every team, and this whole other thing, like, because you only get one team in, and it's just it's too much emotion, man, and I hate it. Like, I just hate the fact that I wish you could settle it, between a small little playoff. I wish we could have our own playoff, where we do have like 4 teams against another set of 4 teams and whatever. And maybe we might make a video about that, Steve. We might make a video of, the Big 12, ACC, AAC, and Mountain Region or whatever. Maybe we'll do something like that, where we can kind of mock draft our own playoff and call it something else, and let the Big Ten and the SEC give each other blowjobs until the end of time. Like, I just,
oh boy, we're gonna get this video is not gonna get ads now. Moving on. I don't want to say too much about this game. It did get a coach fired. Gus Malzahn is now gone. He went to FSU to be their OC, which is obviously a downgrade, but he's never been, the greatest coach, specifically defensively. I mean, I think this was the one favorite to lose, which is really not even like a big deal, honestly. Both of these teams kind of stink. I really thought UCF would win because I felt like their offense was better, but Utah's got a good defense, and that's why they won this game. And
I called them to win.
I did not. I had UCF winning. So
Utah's got a good running back. What is his name? Bernard or whatever.
Who did you have winning in a Colorado Oklahoma State game?
Well, I mean, the picks were skewed because
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah. I was trying to pick teams that would help K-State to get into the championship game, but obviously K-State doesn't deserve to be in the championship game because they couldn't even take care of business against Iowa State. So it doesn't even matter.
I agree. Moving on. We just got done talking about this in our main podcast. Make sure you guys check that out. K-State loses Farmageddon for the 4th time in 6 years, 29-21 at Iowa State. K-State can't get out of its own way. Multiple turnovers leading to touchdowns. Had a chance late, multiple times with a chance late. Could not get it done. Iowa State wins 10 games for the first time in its program's history, and is going to Arlington, Kenny.
Yeah, it stings, man. It stings because I feel like K-State just continuously loses by beating themselves. Like, I don't understand I mean, you could say like maybe the BYU game would have ended up BYU winning if you take away that 6-minute craziness. Like, maybe they would still win, but K-State just kept shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over that game. They shot themselves. They shot their foot completely off in the 4th quarter against Houston. And then they didn't even have any feet at all to start the first half of Arizona State game. They found their feet, but it was too late, And then again, we go to Iowa State, and the first play of the game is just fumble. Then they score a touchdown, and we're already playing from behind. It's unfortunate. 2nd year in a row, K-State doesn't have anything to play for when the game starts, and then we lose the game by 1 score. Sucks, man. It is what it is, though. K-State, they can't figure it out. I think it's a coaching thing. It's the coaching staff. not getting these guys prepared. I saw a comment that said, how in the world did Chris Klieman win 5 championships at North Dakota State? How in the world did he do that? Because yes, I get it. They're a different conference or whatever, and it's or it's a whole different thing. But it's still impressive that you got 5 championship titles. That should carry over. So something is not like he needs to up his game, I guess you could say. Like whatever he's doing is not working. And whatever he did in North Dakota State, he needs to take what worked and apply it to K-State, and he needs to change something. It's unfortunate, man. It's just everything that I'm saying, it all just chalks up to disappointment, and it's unfortunate. It just was an unfortunate season.
Shout out to Iowa State for winning 10 games, getting Arlington. Big ups to them. They wanted it more than K-State. They were the tougher team. Having said that, I didn't feel like they played their best football at all. I felt like they did not play very good, and yet somehow they won by a touchdown. Somehow, some way, even though they did not play very good at all, they still won. When you and I were talking today, maybe it was last night. I feel like it was today, though. You felt like K-State's going to go 11-1 next year because we looked at next year's schedule. I can't, in good faith, pick K-State to win double-digit games during the regular season ever under Chris Klieman. He's never done it. Never in 6 years. He's never started 4-0. If I had to pick right now, next year, way ahead, I'd have K-State at 7-5 or 8-4. They're probably going to lose every game to a team that's better than them because that's what they do every single year. And I'm tired of it. Probably going to lose to Baylor. Probably going to lose to freaking Iowa State. Probably going to lose to a bunch of teams, man. It's frustrating as hell. Chris Klieman's got to figure out a way to be better, man. He just does. And I'm tired of these 8-4 seasons. Might be good enough for some people, but it's not good enough for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, we play Iowa State. They're going to lose all their, they're going to lose their 2 professional wide receivers. And it's also played in Ireland. So, K-State always starts off hot, and Iowa State always starts off a little slow to start off their season. So I had them winning that game. North Dakota State and Army. I mean, come on. I think we should be able to take care of business there. Arizona State, I have no idea what's going on with that program, but they're going to lose their best players.
I mean, Arizona, you mean
Arizona. Yeah, Arizona. They're going to lose their best players. No way there's no way they're losing at Tempe or at Tucson. I do have them losing to Baylor. That's the one loss I have, but I can't pick them to lose against Kansas because Kansas will be in a rebuild year. Colorado will be in a rebuild year. Texas Tech, I don't know if Taj Brooks sticks around, and that's like their most dangerous weapon there. TCU, I had that being a close game, but that's also played in Bill at the Bill. UCF, they're going to get a new head coach. And I know that new head coaches can do amazing things. I mean, look at Arizona State, but UCF is got a lot of building to do. And then Oklahoma State, dude, rebuild year for them. And then Utah is a rebuild year for them. So every single team is in a rebuild year, whereas K-State, they had their rebuild already. So that's why I feel like we're going to come in. And again, I've said this over and over and over. 2025 is the year of K-State. Avery will be ready next year for sure.
I just can't in good faith pick him to win double-digit games when it's never happened under Chris Klieman. Bill Snyder did it a bunch of times, 6 times in 7 years and won 11 games. I think he won 11
The 90s
games.
were crazy for him. The 90s were amazing.
90s and early 2000s, they were.
Yeah.
I just can't in good faith ever pick Chris Klieman to do it. I just can't. So
let's not forget the last 2 years of Bill Snyder and Bill Snyder 2.0. I mean, it was.
I know. I get it. But
it was rough.
He's the last person to do it. Chris Klieman's never done it. Yeah. Never. Moving on here. We talked a lot about that. K-State, Iowa State. Arizona State punched their ticket essentially to Arlington with their win 49-7. There was a kind of not a brawl, but something happened at midfield when Arizona State decided to plant their fork in the middle of Arizona's field. There's more fight after the game than there was at all during the entire game from Arizona. Arizona was picked to finish in the top 5. They finished 4-8, 10-2 for Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham, which you and I would definitely pick as a Big 12 Coach of the Year.
Yeah, hands down, Arizona State, one of my favorite teams to talk about. Arizona, I'm sorry. This is what a failure looks like. This is what a failure of a season looks like. To everybody that's harping on K-State, K-State fans, if you're watching, this is what a failure looks like. Not K-State. K-State's a huge disappointment, and it's unfortunate, but Arizona, I would much rather be K-State than Arizona. Let's just say that. I mean, they did not look competent at all this entire year. It's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. So, hats off to Arizona State. They are clearly one of the best teams in the Big 12. And you'll have to wait to see who Stevie and I pick for our Big 12 conference championship game teams. Who are we going to pick? Am I going to go Arizona State? Am I going to go Iowa State? We played both teams. Who knows? We'll see. We will see. But congratulations, Arizona State. You guys are extremely fun. I really hope that Tyson is not out for the season, because that would be devastating for your team, especially right before a conference championship game.
Yeah, so check out our Big 12 title game preview on Tuesday night. We're going to break down Arizona State versus Iowa State Saturday, 11 a.m. at the house that Jerry built. Moving on.
Yes, sir.
BYU gets a win, 30-18. You and I both picked BYU to win the Cougar Bowl, 28-10. They won 30-18. Their fans were loud. Which, by the way, you and I were looking at their jerseys. We like the dark blue, the navy blue BYU jerseys and logos way more than the light blue.
Dude, it is ballin'. Look, I like the dark blue. I think dark blue is sweet. You guys need to do that more often. I like it a lot. It's super cool. Houston demonstrates yet again that they are way ahead of schedule. Getting a new OC can change so much. You just witnessed it right here. So for all those K-State fans that have these issues with Connor Riley being the OC, if you get a new OC, you could be a lot more competitive. I mean, you see it right here. So it's not like there's a lot of merit to why people are calling for OC's heads, because sometimes better OCs are just, when you know what you have to work with, you can make games interesting. And Houston, man, they were in this, dude. They were there. There was a point in this game. I watched the whole game. There's a point in this game where they were driving, and then the quarterback went back and he fumbled the ball, and then BYU ended up with it at the very end. And dude, if that doesn't happen and Houston makes it like a 1-score game, I mean, we could have ended up having a nail biter at the end. I don't think that BYU would have lost in the end, but it was close there for a second. It was definitely nerve-wracking. And at the end of the day, BYU had nothing to play for because they already were out of the not the CFP. Well, of course the CFP, but the CCG conference game, championship game. But Houston, wow. Even though BYU is not number one and not going to the conference championship game, they still have the number one mascot. I'm just going to say that, okay? I'm just going to say Cosmo is incredible, and he's the best mascot in the world. The dude is crazy.
He is. I agree with everything you said. BYU, they deserve to win 10 games this year. Let's not forget they beat SMU. So if SMU gets in, I feel like BYU should get in. They're probably not going to, but I still feel like they're one of the top 2 teams in this conference. And again, they beat SMU, which is probably going to win the ACC championship game.
They got the best resume. They have the best resume in the Big 12.
They do, by far. by far, man. They beat the crap out of K-State. They beat SMU. They've beaten a bunch of really good teams. I
Baylor.
guess, they beat Baylor at Baylor. I guess their blemish is losing at home to KU, which I guess it's a good segue. KU's season finally comes to an end, 45-17. You said it earlier, man. No one wants to play Baylor right now, and I don't think KU's beaten Baylor in like forever. But their season is finally over. The rebuild starts for them. Baylor is on the upward trajectory, and Dave Aranda looks like his seat is finally not hot.
If there's any solace in what happened this last weekend, it's that KU is not going bowling. And I couldn't be happier about that. I did not want to end with the same conference record as KU. That would have destroyed me, Steve. That would have destroyed me. But KU being the chaos deliverers of this conference, the giant slayers that they created this whole mess that we were in. It definitely made it interesting, but Baylor slammed the door shut on KU getting to a bowl game, and I could not be happier for Baylor. Thank you so much. I need to send you a Christmas gift because you gave me the Christmas gift of the satisfaction of not seeing KU get to a bowl game.
Love it. Love it. Moving on. Texas Tech finishes 6-3 in a conference at the 52-15 win against West Virginia. That got Neil Brown fired. Neil Brown is gone, no longer to coach at West Virginia. But again, I said this earlier, West Virginia finished with the same Big 12 record as K-State, and their coach got fired. I know there's a lot more context there, but still. Joe McGuire, great way to end the season, considering they started not very well. They looked terrible against Abilene Christian, I think it was, winning in overtime, 52-51. They finished 8-4, 6-3 in a conference. Great win for them. They're off to bigger and better things in the bowls, and I think we should get to that really quickly after this. But great win for Texas Tech. I did not see them winning 52-15. I did not.
Dude, Texas knows how to put numbers on the board. I mean, they don't have a defense to save their life, and that's kind of why I was like raising my eyebrows a little bit on this game, because I'm like, what the heck happened to West Virginia, dude? What happened? I thought, who cares what I thought? I mean, Texas Tech, wow. You guys know how to put numbers on the board. I mean, I'll say that. It's quite the scene. Man, shout out to you guys. Just Taj Brooks, 23 carries for 180 yards. My God. And that's against West Virginia's defense. I thought their rush defense was elite. What in the world happened there? 359 passing yards. Oh my God.
They gave up, dude. They gave up, and that's probably why their coach got fired. That's probably why their coach got fired. So last game, TCU wins 20-13 at Cincinnati, ending Cincinnati's season. TCU finishes again with a better record in the Big 12 than K-State. They finished 6-3, which I think is sixth in the Big 12. Shout out to them for winning this game and, never quitting on their season after losing to Houston. They finished very strong. Again, 8-4 this year. Good for them. And Sonny Dykes' seat looks not as hot as it was a month ago.
No, man. They really turned their season around. A little bit squinty-eyed at the second half here, but I mean, at the end of the day, they didn't allow Cincinnati to come back and win. Props to TCU for ending on a nice record, saving your coach's seat. I'm not super worried about this team next year, but slightly. I think they could be very, very dangerous next season, depending on what happens in the transfer portal and what goes on in their offense and stuff like that. But their quarterback, he's the real deal. I mean, everybody's been saying it all year long. I'm like, dude, this kid is the real deal. He's going to be really good. Just give him time. Same kind of sentiment that people said about Avery. Like, just give him time. He's very, very good, very, very talented. I'm interested to see what happens with TCU in the future here.
Absolutely. I feel like Hoover is a pretty good quarterback. We're going to see him next year in the Bill against K-State. And that is a look around in Big 12 for Week 14, the final week in the Big 12.